Hello, my name is Marcellus Stroud, and I'm submitting this video to reflect back on the things that I was able to learn in Walsh University's MBA 622 Organizational Behavior and Communications class instructed by Dr. Stephen Edelson. First and foremost, this was one of the most interesting classes I've taken so far in the MBA program, and all those classes are at least 4 hours long, and Dr. Edelson did an excellent job delivering the content and keeping us all engaged to make the time fly by pretty fast. So thank you for that, Dr. Edelson. We were able to learn a lot of things in this class. I know the title itself kind of sums it up a little bit, but it put us in a situation where we wrote a blog every week discussing the content that we learned the previous week and how that applied to us in our current profession. We wrote blogs on several things: management style, personality tests, motivational theories, communication, ethics, groups, and teams. And we were able to reflect individually on how all these areas kind of came to play in our professional career. I'll try my best not to bore you completely with some of these and try to make them very short and sweet. I know the first, management style. I've been with the company for pretty much close to 16 years, and I've worked for several different managers and had several different styles that they use to manage and motivate their employees. Some were very anal or very stringent when it came to their style, micromanaging, constantly hovering over their individual, asking what they were doing, when they were going to be complete with a particular project and things of that nature there. And I saw the effect that it had on a lot of the employees, and those managers that I saw that were successful gave their team members or their employees the room to actually do their job and make mistakes and learn from those mistakes instead of having their hand held constantly throughout the process. I know one thing that I was able to take from that and into my professional career as I was in situations to manage individuals is the fact that I learned what worked well from those individuals who were micromanagers and the friction that caused amongst that manager and the employees, and I don't want to say passive, but the manager that allowed their employee to pretty much do their job and they stepped in and intervened when necessary. I was able to see more positive results from the latter, where the individual just allowed their employee to just do their thing and just do their job. I believe that takes a lot of stress, not only off the manager, but also takes a lot of stress off the employee, because first and foremost, the manager has a ton of things to worry about other than trying to figure out exactly what their employee is or isn't doing. And secondly, the employee definitely works a lot better if it doesn't have the manager hovering over their shoulder and pretty much questioning every single move. Sometimes the employee may have a strong opinion about something that may work, for the situation that they're in or for the company, but with a manager constantly hovering over them, questioning every single move, that employee could be in a situation where they just may not feel comfortable making decisions anymore, and that's not a good thing for a company to have their employees kind of second guessing themselves. Another blog that we wrote about was during the personality tests. This was something that was kind of shocking to me because you always hear individuals discuss, well, you have such and such personality or this personality, or you're always kind of stereotyping someone else as far as the type of personality that they have. And then the personality test that I took, was pretty much close on par. Although I did disagree with some things, but it was pretty close for the most part. The personality test, I was subject to that before, earlier in my career with my current employer. And it was a way to kind of help a manager understand not only themselves, but also be able to understand their direct reports a lot better. So the personality test, although it's not my first time seeing this or taking one, it just kind of shed some light on some things, especially my current management style and things to actually work on, and also work on with those who are reporting or maybe reporting to me. Another blog that we wrote about was more along the lines of motivational theories, basically stating what motivates an individual to do what they do. And obviously, what's your motivation daily going into work? You know, are you motivated by money? Are you motivated by going in there because you're just happy doing what you're doing? Also discussing ways to better motivate the individuals that report to you, kind of having an understanding of who those individuals are, what style of management or what approach will work best with one individual compared to another, considering that there are so many different personalities in the workplace, and especially when it's time to manage those individuals, one thing that works for one may not work for another. We talked about obviously contact theories, process theories, Maslow's hierarchy, scientific management, along with human relation theory. Kind of basically in a nutshell, you know, the human theory, you're pretty much kind of touching. Human relations theory is pretty much stating that individuals need to have some sort of relationship involving their motivation. And then you have Maslow's hierarchy is pretty much placing a hierarchy on the needs that a particular individual has, and those needs will pretty much kind of motivate that individual to do, you know, what they do. Another blog that we wrote on was communication, and I'm pretty sure everyone has to deal with communication at some point, not only in your household, but also in the workplace, and especially in the workplace. Communication is a key to be able to discuss between different groups within your organization, whether it's sales and operations, or it's just with your fellow colleague in general. One thing that popped up, and we discussed a lot in communication, are the proper channels of communication. One thing, it's pretty big. Obviously, communication is emailing. Obviously, you have the phones and things of that nature there. But in this day and age of all the high-tech technology, you have emails, text messaging, instant messages, and things of that nature there. But the email piece was the thing that kind of stuck out the most, because everyone sends emails. Some shouldn't send emails, or might be best off for a phone call or a personal visit. But how to properly communicate via email. First and foremost, you know, the message that is sent, you know, making sure that message is sent to the right individual. Things would really look bad if you sent an email or message to someone that could be some personal information that was not shouldn't be directed towards a particular individual, but they end up getting that information anyway. Or depending on what level of management or what level you are within that particular company, you know, some things are meant to be sent to certain individuals. You would not want someone who's not intended to receive that message to receive it. Best practices on sending emails, not to make your email too long. Definitely think before you hit send, because once you hit send, majority of times it's too late to get that message back. And then make sure that you are not putting the receiver to sleep with the long email that you may send. You know, recognize that the information that you send, try to be short and sweet and to the point. Therefore, that individual is going to be most likely to read your email and to be able to communicate effectively with you. So many people send emails that shouldn't be sent, whether it's work-related or personal information. I know my company, they spend a lot of time shooting out communications, talking about best practices as far as communications, especially sending emails. Especially the higher up or the larger your company is, the more they're going to be active as far as patrolling or policing the emails. Especially if there's a situation you could send some spam or some information that could be detrimental to the system for the most part. Another blog that we wrote about was ethics. When we came across the ethics piece, I wasn't really expecting it, especially considering the class is organizational behavior and communications. But then again, ethics is a big part of some behaviors and why some people do what they do. Also, from an ethical standpoint, just discussing how the communication piece falls into place with the ethics, and how ethics are more than just here at home within where you live, and it also talks about intercultural communications, and where what you may think is ethical here may not be ethical abroad, so therefore you need to be careful as far as how you communicate with others. Personally, it's easy for me to speak on this because I lived out of the country at one point, and from a communication standpoint, it's very natural to pretty much speak in your native tongue, and this not only just from a language standpoint, also when it comes to your slang, or you know putting some shortcuts on words or whatever it may be. A lot of people may interpret that differently. It may be good. In most cases, sometimes it's bad. But just from an ethical standpoint, just make sure that we're just pretty much being ethical, not only just in our day-to-day lives, but especially at work. It's be tough to have someone fired off doing something unethical. Ethics pretty much come from a variety of areas. Obviously, there's your family, you get ethics from that, religion, your social circles. These are all things that kind of play a part on your ethical makeup for the most part. And also plays a different role via different countries, and also even different regions here within where you live, or whether it's in the United States. Obviously, some individuals pretty much different way of living or way they go about business, whether you're in the South, you're in the North, you're in the East, in the West. Some areas are more relaxed, some are more stringent. So it's very key to kind of recognize where you are as far as communication standpoints, and then keeping the ethics in mind. And then another item that or a blog that we had spoke on was groups and teams. A lot of us in our professional career, or even those who aren't professions, at one point in their lives will have to deal with a group or a team, and to effectively produce within that group or within that team. I know personally, just from where I've worked over pretty much the past 16 years, I've been a part of many groups and many teams. And I was under the impression that a group and a team are pretty much the same, but throughout the time spent in this class, I definitely understood and learned the differences between the two. Obviously, groups sometimes seem to be very temporary. You can say that with teams also, but it seems to be the case with groups. Teams seem to be more permanent, work more together, and things of that nature there. Not to say groups don't work together, but it seems that once you have that label of team, there's a different persona that goes along with it compared to just being a group. I know there are certain situations where a group will eventually turn into a team and things of that nature there. You talk about how best ways to manage your group, best ways to manage the team, how to make sure everyone is engaged and involved and feel a part of that group or the team. Making sure that individuals' comments are heard, and that you make sure we get some feedback, and make sure we're getting those individuals involved. Discussed several different theories when it comes to groups. I know there's Tuckman's linear model. Talk about like the forming and storming, the norming, performing, adjourning. I know a lot of those are probably mumbo jumbo to those who are listening. And unfortunately, I don't have too much time to get into every aspect of it, but it's definitely something that I was able to carry on and move forward into my professional career, and just to make sure that I'm doing the best that I can to bring some quality to my organization and my team. So thank you so much for your time and sitting through this, and you have a great day.